All right, welcome to our behind the scenes look at a little bonus I give my clients, which is doing a mini business reading for them. Just so they have that in the back of their head so they can apply that while we're dealing with productivity stuff. So today's person is a 3-5 emotional manifestor named Joy. And what Joy does is she's doing branding, like website branding. So the chart, just as a reminder, the chart never tells you what your business niche needs to be, what your workplace role needs to be, the specific career thing. What it does is it tells you how you approach it, what's special and unique about you, things like that. So run all this through the branding lens. Joy's role is to teach other people how to effectively manage group dynamics by balancing the individual and the whole. Now, that might not at first sound like it goes, but I think the way she's doing it is she is, or she should, blend branding or sell the branding as a way to help people deal with the group in terms of like, this is what your company needs, this is who you are, this is what attracts your clients. Here's how we blend it all together. Now, the other way she could take this is potentially she could be an OBM or something doing the branding like in a micro agency, running group dynamics, like or being a consultant, going in and helping other people who are doing agency work to do it. So, I mean, there's different ways she could do this. But again, for what she's doing right now, website development and branding, it is managing the part in the whole. Because as we all know, when we started our businesses, it wasn't just about us. We also had to think about what our community wanted. So you can't just say, for example, I love pine green. If it was a color that would be totally off, like maybe you're teaching dance, you're like, no, strong greens, I don't really think this would go. Side, maybe you're more in the food space, you're like, green, sure thing. So you're always having to say, like, it can't be, my business cannot be a carbon copy of myself. So she's really into this dealing with the group dynamics. And the way she's doing this so effectively is because she has had a shadow she's had to work through, ignoring social responsibility. And people or herself when she was younger didn't look at the effects of how they were coming across and what that did to others, right? She's had to learn through this, move through this. She can now help other people because that's what group dynamics are, right? What are you giving off and how did that impact the other person? Now, her special sauce in this is helping people embrace their true nature and act according to their principles. So, yes, she's helping you manage the group, the dynamic, the balance, the individual, and the whole. But she's also saying, and you still get to embrace your true nature. You can still act according to your principles. I'm going to help you balance this and get to equilibrium with this. And you do not have to sacrifice yourself for your company. Okay. Now, the unexpected bonus our clients get is she responds with such graciousness to them. It's, oh, yes, you had an extra thing you wanted me to add. Absolutely. I can go and rework some of this. She's there. She's listening to them. She is so present, hearing their stories. See, after you hear the stories and branding of what has happened, like all the times, why their brand has not fit before. So she's so gracious. Now, one thing Joy could do, if she isn't already, is make sure her branding content talks about embracing your true nature, acting according to your principles, seeing that you've got to deal with individual and the whole. It's not just about you, it's also the group thing. And then her job, this branding thing, is going to become a source of prosperity and money when she puts herself out there to draw attention to what she believes, lets herself be seen, and focuses on visibility and marketing. So this is not like one-to-one DM sales and discovery calls. And this is not like networky stuff. What this is saying, I need like a website, I need to go on my local TV, I need a podcast platform, YouTube channel, TikTok, whatever. I have got to put myself out there. I need the platforms. I need a platform myself so that people can see me and come in. So it's going to be very important for her to have one or probably lots of these different channels to do that. Again, you can imagine a website developer, brander person absolutely has their own website and stuff. But she has an interesting angle for this brand. It's enthusiasm for life. That's what her human design chart says as her marker. Because she has this zest for life. And when your brand reflects you and your company, the ripples grow. Like everyone is able to lean in their unique enthusiasm, right? And specifically, she's not dry. She may be a computer nerd. She is not dry. Her brand message is humor, very relatable humor. Because she's like, there's no need to be discontented. Life is fun. Let's tune in. She likes being relatable to people. For her, life is a fun game. It's growth and learning. So she's going to give you branding content and website content. But it's going to be a pretty funny lens. The time when you had someone make over your website and they put the button in the weird place, you couldn't even find it. Whatever it is, she's really going to need humor. So again, for Joy, she may already be doing that, but what I would suggest to her is that she leans even more into it. If she's been holding back on the humor, like, I don't know, all that my jokes and my puns and my sarcasm are relatable or professional, put it like ramp it up, please. That is how your people are going to find you because they like the fact that you're a web developer with humor. Okay. Now, visibility for her in terms of her career, people being like, yeah, I think I'm going to pick you, not them, comes when she acts according to her principles. Okay. All she needs to do is stick with integrity, what she will and will not do. And people will start picking her, and her name will start getting mentioned. Now, the reason she got into this work in the first place, according to her chart, is because of her enthusiasm for life. She was just like, oh, I love experiencing and doing things and whatnot. What major, what job, what business would let me do this? Branding. Okay, I think so, which is quite true. And then the higher purpose behind her starting this business at all, any business, is to initiate profound change. Because there are a lot of things she doesn't like in the current computer and branding space. She wants to see it change. She wants to be part of that change, right? She wants to kick it off. So whatever vocation she chooses, it's always going to come back from that angle of, I want change in this entire space. Now, the lessons that she's learned along the way, or is still currently learning, are going to be about how to find the hidden lesson and how to see new possibilities. So when she looks back over her life, I think she's probably going to see that. And then the content themes, what she likes to talk about, spontaneous insight and inner guidance. Now, of course, all this is filtered through a branding lens, but those need to be major content themes for her. How you just get aha moments and you know where to go. And maybe that's how you decide you need a brand a redo, a remake and an up level. Is you're just like, I'm going here now. This is what's really me. And you've changed. Now, the clients she needs to work with need to have two values. She doesn't need to worry about like heaps and heaps of things, just these two. They also want to initiate profound change, whatever their companies are doing, and they recognize who they need to be mentored by. They don't sit there waffling around going, well, I don't know, this is probably good enough for now. Lots of people talk about getting coaching. I don't need to get coaching. No, they're like, your work, yes, I need my brand by you. Okay. Because her people appreciate the fact that she embraces challenges to a level. It's part of what they like about it, her and her specific way of branding. So she should also be using this in content. Have stories about how you had challenges and you up-leveled, Make sure your clients can self-select in and out by talking about the initiating profound change and seeing, I need this person, I need that person, right? And what it says also in her chart is that she's going to need to create a bigger platform to influence others because she wants to solve problems, establish new and better systems, again, that change thing, on a society or company level, okay? So again, we're back to the platform thing. If she needs to have a big system to put out this because she's thinking much broader scale. Like every company needs to have a brand done by me. She's the kind of person who can think like that. Now, to do this, though, and to be visible like this and help people like this, she has to stop a tendency towards constant challenges. That's kind of her downside. She embraces challenges to up level, but it feels like there's always another thing, right? So again, Joy, just kind of notice when you fall into that, and then come back to ground and center and move your way through. And also, if you have clients and you're like, I think I'd like to fire someone, use that. Do they initiate change? Do they recognize who they need to be mentored by? Use those as the values to filter them. So when you're up-leveling clients or paring down, getting rid of clients, do that. Now, her pre and post 40, who she helps. Before 40, she helps people who need effective guidance, But you can kind of see, right? Branding is essentially people are coming to you saying, I need a better image online. I don't know how to do it. I'm going to pay you, right? And then after 40, she helps people who need discernment. Maybe they need discernment about how this brand was coming across, how to make their new position really be understood well, but they need a very discerning eye. And you can imagine that after 40 and doing this for years or decades, she's going to be really discerning. Now, how does Joy level up doing this branding well development? Quite simple, embracing her true nature. She doesn't have to get people's attention, whatever. She is just going to level up through her business milestones by coming back to herself, getting more true to herself, leaning in even more to herself, and the income follows, right? Now, the other thing her chart says is that her biggest money-making gift is realism as opposed to limitations. Instead of feeling all stuck, when she's realistic with people about what they can and can't do for the brand, that's when she gets money. Also, what she's supposed to do with her money is simply trust that the talent she has for the branding is enough. Let herself receive recognition. She doesn't need to do anything with the money. She doesn't need to give it away. Doesn't need to keep it. She just needs to trust she's being recognized and it is coming in. So that is that feminine receivership thing. Some people it's correct for. Some people a little bit less so. She's very much a person who needs to do daily practices on that. That's how money and abundance are unblocked for her. Now, she also has a lot of superpowers. Part of this is probably because she is very highly defined. In terms of her chart, you've got the 9 centers. She has a lot of them defined, and she's only a split definition. So most of them are talking to each other. So she has to have a lot of superpowers. A, she has the gift of reflection and storytelling. Useful for branding, right? The ability to connect the dots in her mind and achieve clarity around people's challenges. Also really good when someone would be like, I don't know how to rebrand myself. The ability to challenge, identify, and correct anything that isn't, perfect or to the standard you want it to be. Also sounds like branding because you have to get the entire image just so, because it's also kind of artistic and no false notes, right? And then back to the teamwork thing, the gift of altruism, grounded in a strong desire to bring harmony to groups and a personal desire to be needed and belong. So she's harmonizing the group, the company, because she knows what it feels like to want to belong. And then a deep intuitive knowing for what the moment requires of you and the ability to stay true to yourself and your values despite the pressure to conform. In other words, if you're feeling like everybody has got this soft autumn palette that they got off Canva, and you're like, that seems trendy, maybe I should do it, I just don't really know. She's going to be there saying, no. What is you? What is your values? We don't care what the market likes right now. We are going to do you. And that is going to be how your website attracts people. Not looking like a copycat of all the trendy things right now, okay? And we can also look at her gated centers. So which center she's really, really strong. So just because you have center defined doesn't mean you're necessarily super strong in it. If you are super strong in it though, your work, your vocation, your business needs to include that. In fact, you'll probably be looking in hindsight and be like, oh yeah, totally, I can see how that was it. But that would be just a note to wash. If you're like, actually, I haven't been using that, you're definitely in the wrong role. So again, she's got a fair number and you'll see how they go. Very high in the ability to deal with deadlines and pressure. Okay, so think of it. When you're getting deliverables from and to clients, like I need this from you, this from you, this from you to create your brand. I need opinions from you to say, do I like this? Do I tweak it? I have a bunch of different branding projects going on at once. I may be working with other people on a team to help me produce it all. Okay, so she's going to be really good at dealing with a lot of different things coming at her. Potentially people being like, can you put a rush job on this and finish it? And not taking the work home with her, in a sense. And then she's also very high in just being like, I know what to do. Poof, it's done. Like she doesn't have to strategize, she just knows. So again, this might be really good for the branding, the artistic side, maybe something else. She's gonna be really good at doing that. And she's also pretty high in knowing her purpose and helping others go into their purpose, which you can see with the branding. Like she's like, I think you should be this way. Like this brings out who you're here to be in the world, right? So those three things, very true. And then just for her personal like environment thing. So the way in which all these gifts are going to come out more easily is when she allows herself to root into a location. So she's not really someone who likes to bing, bing, bing around and travel or move a lot, stuff like that. And when she embraces networking spaces. She does not want to work from home by herself with a quiet house. She does not want to be in ridiculously crazy, noisy, distractible environments. She wants to be around other people who are also working and creating and changing and doing stuff. Okay. She is the one kind of person who it is not a distraction to have Slack open, plus your art mood board thingy. Okay. Because she's actively collaborating and creating. So whether it's virtually in Slack, virtually on a Teams meeting, virtually, or sorry, in person in a co-working space and having some artists around that she's talking with, she's very much involved in the collaborative co-creative process. That's what's going to bring all this stuff out even more for her. So that is not anything to do with her particular productivity cycles as a manifestor, but that is how this 3-5 manifestor named Joy as a brand developer. That was her business reading. I hope you enjoyed.